Hi, this is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse, and I'm just puttering in the greenhouse this beautiful Sunday afternoon. And I started to pot up some tomato seedlings, and I thought I'd share with you how I do that, just in case you're new to this. Now, these are Brandiboy. They are a hybrid of brandy wine, which is a delicious heirloom that is very flavorful. It's just unmatched in flavor to me. But they don't produce a great amount. So Brandiboy is supposed to have the same flavor and produce better and be more disease resistant, etc. So all the way around better. We'll see. This is my first time growing it. Anyways, I started the seeds. I'd already potted up a couple of them. And I put 2 in each little square of this. It was a 4-pack, not a 6-pack. And all of them came up. So I'm going to pry them out of here and pot each one up. I'm not going to cut one off. It's not necessary to do that. These don't mind really the roots being disturbed. I'm going to show you something where it's going to really gain more roots. So here is the 4-inch pot I'm going to put it up in. This is a taller one. Anymore, they don't use these in planting garden centers. They use these lower, smaller, shorter ones. But I like the taller ones because you can get a better, longer root system, but those will work. So I only filled it up, not even a third of the way. And with my DIY potting soil, which now it's 4 parts turkey compost, or just organic compost, and 1 part rice hulls. Rice hulls you can get at most feed stores. So the rice hulls act as not only helping with drainage, but also retaining moisture. So it just keeps the compost looser. Now this is a very rich compost, so I don't really need to add anything to it, but if I wanted to add a bit more nutrition, I would add some worm castings, and I would add another part, meaning I'd have 4 parts compost, 1 part rice hulls, and 1 part worm castings. Okay, so here's my 4-pack with the 2 in it for the little seedlings. So I'm going to hold by one of the new leaves, and I'm going to just dig down to the base because these have really gotten rooted, and I'm going to work them up out of the soil. I'm going to pop this soil out of here. And you see that? Now I used a really loose mix, and that's why it's all falling out of there. It's what I want. When I did my seed starting test, I found that a couple of them, they so matted with the roots that it was harder to separate them. So I wouldn't use those anymore. So here, look at that nice root mass. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down in this pot. And I'm going to put it down in there as far as it will go. And I'm going to start filling it up. And I want as much of the stem as I can cover to be covered with the soil. And what that does is roots will grow out from the stem, so it'll have even more roots than it does now. So there. So it's considerably shorter as far as stem length because the stem is now under the soil. And that, my friends, is how you pot up strawberry seedlings. Not strawberry, what am I saying? I've got strawberries on the mind. Tomato seedlings. So the other one, I'm going to go ahead and use this 4-inch pot. I'm going to put a little bit of soil in it, not a lot. Let me move this over here because I'm making a mess with this soil. I usually do it over my bin, but I got a lot of seeds out here. I hope my neighbor's sawing isn't disturbing you. Well, let's put it in here. So I got the pot, putting the tomato in it. I'll even squish the roots down a little bit. And then I will continue to add my potting soil mix. Now, if you just have regular potting soil, that's what you can use. A nice brand. And there you have it. You see how much shorter it is? Because the stem is buried under the dirt. I will put these over on my bench where I keep them and keep them watered until I can put them out. Actually, right now it's been so mild. Our days have been mild. Got something in my sleeve. And the nights haven't been too bad. Tonight's going to be the coldest night we've had in a long time. It's going to be 39 degrees. So I'm not going to put everything out at night tonight. But during the day tomorrow, I'll put the things back out in the sun, and it's how I've been acclimating them to outside, hardening them off. Most of my tomatoes that are in here I've been putting out during the day and bringing them back in at night if it was going to be really cold. Last week, a lot of them stayed out overnight, so it was unseasonably warm. Usually, I cannot do that until after the third weekend of May. So, that being said, I'm going to finish up with these two. And then I was also going to give you a little update on my winter seed starting project. Here are the Oriental poppies. Look how Look how full that is. Now, Oriental poppies really don't like their roots disturbed. They're one of those plants. So what I will do is I will cut it in little 1-inch sections, plant that whole 1 inch, let it grow a little bit, then I'll cut out the competitors. That's the only way I can do it with these. They do not take to being moved much. I did not expect them all to come up. It was an old packet of seeds, so I dumped the whole thing in here, and it really germinated. Let me go get a couple more for you. Now this one is my Agra. This is Queen something, but there's pink in here. I don't think there's white. I have ocean pearls out in my garden already that I shared, but these are really pretty. I love the way they sway in the breeze. The flowers are really pretty, and I think they reseeded out there. I really like flowers that will seed themselves in the garden and come back every year. But these are kind of a lavender and a pink in here, and I can't wait to get these out in the garden. And these will not be potted up into a 4-inch pot. They will go straight to the garden. And here is some delphiniums. Now these delphiniums, because the slugs around here really, really love them, I will grow them up a little bit bigger until the slugs kind of die back. Early spring, they are usually pretty hefty, the slugs, and then they kind of die back when it warms up. Delphiniums like it a little bit cooler, so I do put them outside during the day because inside this greenhouse gets really, really hot. Now those I had cut the lids off. You notice the first one, the lid was still on it, but the last one I've been cutting the lids off for room in here because I'm really running out of room. And in another video I've just done recently was potting up, I'm reaching for one is what I'm doing, potting up Dahlia tubers. So here's one I potted up to take cuttings off of. It's almost too late because they're getting so big. I think I could do that one. I like to do the cuttings a little bit smaller. You do not want the stems to become hollow. That interferes with it rooting. So I've got to get busy probably tomorrow and get them rooted up. I have others that are shorter. Here's another one. See, this one might be getting a little too big to root, but this one down here is almost ready to take a cutting from. So, since there's only 2 sprouts on here, I would only take 1 cutting from this. So, if it had more like the other one, I would take more, and I would root the cuttings. Now, this year, I'm going to have to keep my dahlias in pots. So, I'm trying to find big containers to plant them in for the summer because the voles and the gophers just decimated them last year, and I still haven't gotten rid of them. I thought I had a handle on it, and then I had sweet peas that I planted go missing. They were tall, they were knee-high, doing beautiful. I was looking forward to the bloom, and poof, the next day they were gone, and the cage they were supported on was tilted. One side had sank into the ground where the gophers had made the hole, or voles, whichever one it is. So that's my dilemma. So I'll share how it goes with growing dahlias in containers. So if you don't have open ground and you want to grow dahlias, you can do it in containers too. And you need like a square foot for each tuber. That's what I read. So we'll see. I might give them a little more space than that. But like I said, I'm looking for nice sized containers that I can move around and plant my dahlias in them. And let's see, I don't know what else I have around here that we talked about recently. Oh, let me show you something. I have been taking cuttings, let me see, where are they, of petunias. You may not have known you could do this, and maybe you have. So I went to a local garden center, and They had some ratty looking petunias from last year, but I could tell I could take cuttings from them. So I bought one or two. They were in a 4-inch pot. So I just took some cuttings to cut them back. I cut them back so that they would put out a flush of new growth and it would regenerate the existing petunia. And I potted that up into a 1-gallon pot so it could grow on and be beautiful. And then all that I trimmed off of it, I potted into these little 6-packs. And I probably will do a video on that. It's pretty easy, but I wanted them to get a little bit bigger and established, and I could pull one up and show the roots on it, and then you can see how well it works. So that is merely an update of what's going on in my greenhouse. You know what? I'm going to pan around for you. It's so congested in here, but you'll get an idea of all the starts, seedlings, what's going on in the greenhouse. Okay, so we're going to start from over here. You can kind of see some of my mess back here. That is different seeds and materials and what have you. I have a shelf up here. Let me see if I can scooch you up a little bit. So I've got some plants still going up here. Those right back there are starts from lavender from a friend's house. In fact, I need to pull those down and start putting them outside so they can acclimate to the outdoors. There is, this shelf has a lot of starts on it that I've put cuttings in. I have geranium starts. I have a start from a potato vine. It's not a sweet potato vine, it's a potato vine. And then I have a frost-proof gardenia, some boxwood cuttings, and in the little cover there, that's where I have a lot of the petunia cuttings. I don't know how well this is coming through. It looks kind of dark on my screen, but so I'm going around here, and this container right there is coleus seeds I planted. I had once grown all my coleus from seeds, and they were absolutely gorgeous. This was a mix. I threw them into a seed starting mix, and that I had left over from my seed starting mix experiment, and it looks like I've got grass growing in there. I don't know where that came from, but anyways, there's some grass coming up in there and a few coleus. I have more dahlias on this bench. Let me lean up a little bit so you can see. I have more dahlias. I have some roses. I was going to try some early spring shoots and see if they rooted. They're supposed to root faster if they do root, but they're also more tender and susceptible to fungus and what have you. So I have some bell pepper seeds started here. And let me see. Oh, here is some rosemary cuttings. I'm going to do a tutorial on taking cuttings and creating topiaries with them. Lots more tomatoes. I had to bring in these sweet peas. The birds were eating them. I had them outside to put it in the ground, and like I said, whatever critters eating things has eaten them down. This is some sage or salvia that I potted up because it was in a spot I didn't want it last year, and now it's coming back. And more on the bench, all the way over. And down to the ground, let me see if I can poke this down, is even more down there. More that I need to get out in the garden. So that's what I'm doing, puttering around today. I hope you enjoyed the little greenhouse update. So I'm so glad you could join me in my greenhouse today as we pot up tomatoes and other things that need it. And stay tuned for more, like the rosemary topiary lesson. I'm going to do some starts of some more lavender, but I already have a video here on YouTube on how to start lavender from cuttings. And more. Oh, I'm going to do the dahlia cuttings. When I do those, I'm going to share that too, even though I have a video here on YouTube on doing lavender dahlia cuttings. I'm going to do some more. So that's just about all I have for you today. So I hope to see you in the next video.